Hi, my name is Pam Killeen, and welcome to my podcast, Circadian Reboot, where we discuss everything circadian. And today's show is a little different than others in that it is a call to action. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on a troubling situation unfolding in Edgewood, British Columbia. Katie Pasitney, the dedicated farmer behind Universal Ostrich Farms, is at the center of a legal battle with the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, which has issued a controversial cull order targeting all 400 of her ostriches. This story is about more than just one farm. It's about food sovereignty, animal welfare, and the right of small, ethical farms to operate without heavy-handed interference. Katie and her family have built their farm with care, transparency, and a deep commitment to sustainable agriculture. Yet now they face losing everything based on questionable protocols and a lack of due process. I invite you to listen closely as Katie shares her side of the story, what led to the CFIA's actions, what it means for Canadian farmers at large, and how you can help. Please consider supporting her efforts to save her flock by visiting www.saveourostriches.com. Your voice and your support can make a difference. Hi, Katie. It's so kind of you to join us to share this news, this very tragic news of this court decision that took place yesterday with regards to the potential culling of your dear ostriches. Now, I wanted to talk to you not just to share this horrible story that's going on at your farm, but also to share with consumers, have them understand what the repercussions could be for our food supply in North America. Not just, in British Columbia, in your little nook in British Columbia. This has reverberations all throughout North America. So to
Yeah,
get started, I think we need to discuss this breaking news that took place yesterday. And perhaps you can do a little bit of lead up to this judge's decision, which is blatantly wrong. And then consumers, if they haven't heard about your story, let's maybe start with a little bit of that information, and then we'll lead up to the judge's decision yesterday.
sure. Sounds good. So we are a farm that's established in Edgewood, British Columbia, Canada, and we are 135 kilometers away from a major city. We are not a commercial poultry facility. We are not for food consumption. We have been a research-based facility, not facility, farm, for the last 3.5, 4 years. And it has been a specialty of ours that when COVID-19 happened and the processing plants and everything were being shut down, we fell in love with Dr. Tsukamoto's work from Japan because he has been working with antibodies in ostrich for years and holds 36 plus worldwide patents for just working with antibodies with the ostrich. After some time and creating a relationship with him, we developed antibody structure and started to want to bring that into Canada and create nutraceuticals, so options for animal and human health. We are a herd of just about 400 now. So I guess we could go into just a bit of our story here, what's happened led up to this position. In late December, we started to have symptomatic animals. We were having deaths, but these symptoms presented themselves we had the same symptoms in 2020. And in 2020, we contacted our vet, which is our protocol. When you have something you're not sure of, they came out and they did a gold standard sample test, which is tissue sample. That tissue sample came back positive for Pseudomonas bacteria in 2020. So in 2020, we were shocked. We were like, well, how could you get that? The vet said could be even off just a tourist's hand. We'd lost 10 ostriches back then. We were a herd of 300. And they stabilized and moved on. But this December
It's like
in
they all had a
2020,
bad cold, right? They all had a bad cold, basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then here we are in December, and we noticed kind of the same symptoms. It alarmed us, but we kind of knew what we were dealing with on the farm, so we called our vet. Because of the time frame in the holidays, he was not available. We were waiting for his call back. And then we got a phone call from the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, which was alarm, like we said, we're not food consumption, but they said that they got an anonymous tip from somebody that they're sure that we had avian influenza. So we started to talk to them about our research, and we said to them that the research is, we're a research-based facility. We've been working on antibodies for the last 3.5 years, producing, something that could even help this avian influenza crisis and stabilize it on a global scale. We talked to them about more than half of our farm has not exhibited any symptoms and had no deaths. And at that time, they said, okay, well, that doesn't sound like avian influenza, because if it was avian influenza in a commercial poultry facility setting, you would have 20 to 30,000 chickens dead overnight. Now that we learned, going later on into our legal battles, and we have tested our prior egg yolk of the animals that were on our farm prior 2020, that egg yolk, because it wasn't stored on site, our research, a doctor out of Vancouver, British Columbia, was able to show that we have antibodies in that egg yolk already for H5N1. So those animals back then were exposed to the avian influenza and got herd immunity. And they're the survivors on our farm that did very well, no symptoms and no deaths. So we brought up to them that it's our ostriches that have been here on the farm from 2020 after that were the symptomatic ones. And so they just said, well, can we test a couple of your ostriches? But we would like a couple deceased dead animals to do the tests on. They ran the very controversial test of the PCR test. And those PCR tests, they ran on 2 dead animals that laid there for over 16 to 18 hours dead.
Yeah, they play those games all the time. I mean, it's
Oh,
ridiculous. Yeah.
Pam, I'm learning so much. I know in these organizations you want to have so much trust in. I definitely have learned along this process in five months the levels, obviously, of where this is going. But so they ran their PCR tests on the 2 deceased animals. They at that same time, we said, can we please test the healthy side of our farm to show, and they said, nope, sorry, that's not possible.
So
Can
no
we test
controls.
any?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Can we test any of the animals that were sick but got better? Nope, that's not possible. So they left, and that next day we got a call back that we tested positive for H5N1 and that our farm was set to be culled. All of our animals were going to be culled. So then we went, fighting for everything, showing them, telling them our science, and that we are a research facility. And what do we do? We're producing antibodies. We have a great opportunity here to stabilize not just this crisis, but we have other antibodies like from COVID-19. And they tried to show like they were extremely interested. And they asked us, they said, okay, well, January 2nd, let's have a phone call with all top officials and the vets and Canadian Food Inspection Agency. At that point, they wanted us to disclose our business plan, our research papers, any data, everything we have. We did that over a 5.5-hour meeting, and they asked us everything. So we gave it to them. At about the 5-hour mark, we said, are you just probing us for information, or are you do you want to work with us and save our animals, or have you already decided to kill them? Well, we found out through our legal battle that on December 31st, 41 minutes after our initial, our testing, they signed our cull order already. So they already they played this up, that they wanted all of our information. Then January 2nd, that same day, we got a letter saying that we qualified for special rare genetics. After that, they send us a Unit 1 exemption package. This exemption package was solely based on a commercial poultry facility, and it pertained to, and listed in it is ducks, geese, turkeys, and chickens. So we went back to them and said, this is misleading. This is not the accurate exemption package. We don't know what to do. Like, how do we fill this out properly? And they said, no, just fill it out, our caseworker. Even if you have to answer no to these questions, just fill it out or you don't qualify. So we just took a big gulp, like when we said, okay. We started filling out the paperwork, and we had to answer no to so many questions because we were not a commercial poultry facility. Mm-hmm. So what do you think happens on January 10th? We get a letter saying you don't qualify for this exemption package, and you are set to be culled. You are supposed to cull and go in and kill all your own animals and dispose of them by February 1st. If you do not, and you're not in compliance, we will bring out a vendor that will kill the animals for you and for us. And we will take any byproduct or anything out of off your farm that has to do with ostrich. So we obtained a lawyer January 16th. That lawyer went hard at fighting for us, and we were able to win an injunction by just snuck in there on January 31st. Justice Batista, he saw that this was going to cause irreparable harm and damage to 2 livelihoods. He saw that they didn't use their full policy adequately, that we weren't offered all the options. They jumped right to the stamping out policy, and went in our favor that we should be offered an injunction, a state order to protect our animals, and a judicial review. That judicial review happened April 15th and 16th. That was in Vancouver, British Columbia, in the federal courts. We had just Judge Zinn. They flew in a judge from Ottawa to hear our judicial review. And so we were in there. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency had 5 lawyers. We had 2. They fought. They had 75% of the time. They ate up our time. They really just, again, was about trading partner policies. It was about how, we need to protect our trading partner policies. Even though our farm here in Edgewood, British Columbia, we are in our own zone in Canada, and we are not affecting any other commercial poultry facilities or trading. The world is still trading. We're fine with the ostriches alive. And through this time frame of waiting for that judicial review, we had multiple visits, about 3 visits from the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. At none of those times did they retest our animals that had recovered. At none of those times did they do water samples or soil samples. At none of those times we kept asking for the ability to test our own animals and prove to them for public health and safety that we pose no health risk. They denied us every time, and each time they came back at us with a threat of 6 months in jail and a $250,000 fine if we were to test our own animals and a sample leave our farm. So it feels like we're in the twilight zone.
Yeah.
But
yes, I remember Percy Schmeiser with the canola and Monsanto. I know I've helped with Michael Schmidt and the raw milk issue here in Ontario. I've seen this kind of exploitation take place for decades now, where these innocent farmers, including yourself, you're being completely stepped on by the system. And there is a clear agenda by the globalists or what have you. When you look at what's happened to agriculture here in Canada, I took some statistics, and I'm sure you're very familiar with them. The farm population has declined dramatically. In 1971, we had 1 in 14 Canadians who were part of a farm population, and by 2021 that turns into 1 in 61. So we see a 62% decline in farm population. And then we see the number of farms declining dramatically here too. In 1976, the number of farms has fallen by 44% from 338,552 to 189,874 in 2021. So with this trend that's going on right now, what's going to happen to our food supply is my rhetorical question here. I mean, people listening to this need to understand the repercussions of what is happening to farmers like yourself, or what happened with Percy Schmeiser and the canola, and with what's going on here with the raw milk issue. And it's not just Michael Schmidt, it's other farmers as well. So we need to support you guys as much as we possibly can in order so that we keep continuing to produce our own food. Otherwise, all of our food is going to be coming from overseas. And I don't want that. Who wants that? Nobody wants that.
I keep bringing up to people, there's some simple information that can really make people think, and that is, as long as we have migratory birds, nowhere in the world is going to be avian influenza free. So the threat of a pandemic, the threatening of our farmers and our food stability is absolutely wrong. We need to find the middle ground. We need to find how we stabilize the crisis. We've given them an option of research to try to do so. Why, if you're ready to use the words of a threat of another pandemic, why wouldn't you want to use a research that's been given to you as one of the largest opportunities to be put on the map for doing something so amazing? Our farm here, we hold, there's a big challenge, and I keep saying this, but I want people to understand, we're trying to use this big challenge to create one of the largest opportunities. We've seen that the truckers in the convoy in Ottawa, and that the truckers were the heroes, and they were delivering our foods and goods and services. Our frontline workers were our heroes. They are still our heroes. But then they were villainized through COVID-19. And we're on the trajectory to see our agricultural sector and our farmers become the next villainized people for wanting to stand up for what they're experts in, and that they should be trusted. I want to stop that before it comes, and I think that we just need to take a stand that our heroes need to stay our heroes. And these organizations that have way too much power and no accountability need to be held accountable. We need to make a global stand, and we need to take a global change. Stamping out is not just stamping out the virus. It sounds beautiful if you're a big, strong entity. Stamping out sounds pretty powerful. But the truth of the matter, the fact of that is you're stamping out natural immunity, and I'm sure, Pam, you probably know all about that. Natural immunity, herd immunity, the loss of the diversity in our genetics. And where we're going is on the trajectory of eating lab-grown meat, because they're going to threaten that all outdoor animals pose a risk, which has been said in our case management conferences, that they're exposed to migratory birds. Well, we've offered the wildlife a solution, just as well as the commercial poultry facilities, to fog barns to give these chickens antibodies. Number 1, 2, with Joel Salatin, the lunatic farmer, you don't kill the survivors. Why, you don't have a plane crash and 10 survive and you say, sorry, everyone else, you gotta go. COVID-19. Oh, two in your house got it, so you all gotta go. But where do we stop it? And that's what our ostrich farm here in Edgewood, British Columbia is taking that stand on, that we need to stop stamping out. It's been in practice since 2001. It hasn't been revisited in 21 years, or 24 years. We need that. Stamping out is going to have a catastrophic failure into our ecosystems, zoonotic diseases, and we need to stop it now. We have herd immunity. We have flock recovery. We need to use this and not eradicate it, and shield it from the world as an opportunity, as a solution.
Yeah, and keep building strong herds. What kind of support are you getting worldwide, not just local? I want you to describe to me what's going on at the farm right now, because I know you're getting a lot of support. So maybe you could draw that picture, and also tell us what's happening globally to help support your effort.
Sure. On our farm right now, we have put out a call to action for anybody who wants to come to our farm to stand beside us, and everybody that wants to see the security in our agricultural sector and our nutritional food supply to be saved. You can come to 301 Langell Road, Road, and you can come and stand with us in Edgewood, British Columbia. We have inundated flood of support. People are pouring in now with our latest verdict off our judicial review hearing. They are coming to stand with us because as of right now, the cull order is on for our beautiful ostriches who have been recovered for 120 days. And we're just going to take that stand and say no and show the public opinion matters. We have people from all across Canada here. We have people from all across Canada continuing to come. And I've had the most amazing global support, but it wouldn't be possible without voices like yourself, Pam, to get the word out there with audiences that are so supportive, that identify with what we're going through and want to make a difference. And they're taking the action on our emails. They're going to saveourostriches.com, universalostrichfarm.com. They are supporting us in every which way possible, whether it be by donations to help us through this legal battle, because unfortunately money is ammunition in these wars. Praying for us. We're having these beautiful people just sharing letters of support pouring in. John Katzmadidas out of New York. He's been he's almost like a grandfather figure. He's been carrying me through some of the hardest days. And we've got Senator Kennedy talking about us. We have, saying that we should be saved as a research facility. So if we're dealing with some of our biggest trading partners, and Canada's worried about that, maybe we should ask our trading partners if they want some of the research before we kill it.
Well, the research you're doing is so important. You're working with a university in Kyoto, Japan, and these antibodies, they sound so powerful. I mean, I've heard about spraying factory farms, which are highly infectious, of course, with things like colostrum, but that's weak compared to the type of immunoglobulins that you're producing through the ostriches, right?
Yeah, and we have, because we've been in research and we've been doing research with COVID, we have scientific evidence and proof, working with a gentleman in Quebec, that we even have the ability to use our antibodies for COVID-19 and neutralize the variant. Most research, as you know, goes and blocks the variant, goes and blocks it, but we actually can neutralize it and the variants. So I think we have research here that needs to be preserved. It's a threat, though, to Big Pharma, because as we're stamping out natural immunity, we're gaining the traction for the reliance on vaccinations for survival, which is great for Big Pharma, but it's not great for you, Pam. It's not great for me. It's not great for our kids, and it's not great for our grandchildren. So we're losing. Yeah, we're at risk of losing our heroes and our generational farmers that have been standing up to give us nutritional food and want to for the next years to come. But we're also just not preserving the science, and we're using outdated government policies with organizations that hold way too much power. And
sounds to me like they're going after you for a couple of different reasons. They want to get rid of small family farms. That's pretty obvious. It's been going on for years. But you also have a natural remedy for potentially people who are sick with, I hate to say it, COVID or whatever. Not a big fan.
Or whatever it is. Yeah, even influenza. I'm really optimistic still. I got the fight in me of my life. This farm is gonna be here. This farm and these animals are gonna be here. They're not going anywhere. If I have anything to do with it, and I will spend 24 hours a day on Zooms with just people like you that I absolutely end up loving, and audiences that want to continue to support us. Mainstream media has been really kind to us. Independent journalism has been really kind to us, and we're going to fight this, and we're going to win, and we're going to win for all farmers across the world, and we're going to create the change that is necessary for us to see win and add a level of trust again back in organizations that should be trusted.
Right, yeah. So CFIA has been horrible for many, many years. I remember in 2006 when I was doing research for the Great Bird Flu Hoax, which I wrote with Dr. Mercola. I remember talking to a farmer out in British Columbia, and he told me that they had farmers at the end of their driveways with guns with guns. They had backyard flocks. And the CFIA was planning on coming and culling the flocks, even though they were testing negative. They were perfectly healthy birds, but they basically were warding off the CFIA by standing at the end of their driveways with guns and saying, "Get off our property."
Like,
It takes that
what
kind
is
of
our country?
stand to go up against these people. I mean, it's crazy. They're nuts.
What's our country come to? This is, we're hiding therapy. We're hiding solutions. We're being threatened the 6 months in jail if we want to prove to the world that we have something good and that we're not a threat, that we're not a public health risk. They don't want to retest our animals either. They were okay with us handling this virus ourselves and killing them and burying it ourselves, in the beginning. But now where we're sitting is a local landfill in Castlegar. Udachinia landfill has been given a contract to dispose of all of our 46 tons of healthy animal waste that would go there and be buried in our landfill. You talk to me about the environmental impact and the biohazard waste traveling on our highways in a ferry, not consulting with communities and waterways and the native communities that this land resides on. We have a big problem here. There's a lot of overstepping, and we need to take back control. And we're prepared to do that here at Universal Ostrich Farm.
The hypocrisy is crazy. I remember talking to Joel Salatin before we published the book, and he said to me the public health officials would come out into the country in Virginia, and they would stand on their podiums and they say, "You see this feather here? This feather could spread H5N1, and kill
Oh
your
my God.
flocks and make people sick and so on and so forth." And he just laughed, his sense of humor. I mean, he's
Yeah,
hysterical.
yeah,
And he'd say,
yeah.
"Pam,
It's
like
a good
the
one.
insanity, she doesn't like this woman was so stupid that
Yeah,
she couldn't see as the trucks are going by on the highway, right, from all the factory farms, right? All
yeah,
these feathers are flying everywhere. And
yeah.
this was the root cause of the problem. I mean, as you know, they've been culling sick birds in these factory farms for generations. I mean, they're so toxic. And
And we
millions and
and have
millions of chickens are being culled every single year because they're so sick in these very unhygienic conditions.
and
And
have they got
yet they
health
want to
care? No.
attack a small backyard flock. It's insanity.
So one thing, so you're right. So if it's for decades or generations that we've been doing this, I mean, we're only going like this, right? We're just encroaching. We're coming into the small backyard flocks now. Where does it stop? And if you don't see that, I mean, they're coming for our cats, they're coming for our dogs because they're going to be exposed to migratory, animals too. Where does it stop? And that's where Universal Ostrich Farm says it stops here. So we're
Good.
taking that global stance and we're creating a movement that all farmers need to see what we're standing for. They need to come together with us. And we're trying to protect your industry. We're trying to stabilize the supply management chains. I know that there's lobbyists, there's so much different things that are
The
involved.
screen froze.
But
The
I
screen
think we
froze.
can all
I
win
don't know
here
if you
if we
can see
work
me. Are you
together.
still there?
And we have the opportunity to bring great economic
Oh,
value
shoot.
back to Canada with the opportunities that we have here as well, and job creation and everything with our extraction facilities and acknowledgement over our nutraceutical program. We're trying to establish a United or a Canadian Farmers Association. We want to restore faith in the farmers that there's going to be a place that they can land and it feels safe. And that's just where we're at right now is we're going to just try and fight this dispute of the verdict which we received that we were denied our disputes on all levels were kind of thrown out and where the call is back on. So we're calling on people to come support us and we're supporting you. And we're just going to see where this goes, but we're not giving up a good fight. That's for sure. This is worth fighting for, as you know, Pam.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. Now, what other kind of legal defense do you have? Are you collaborating with other lawyers on this? Are lawyers coming to you and saying that they are willing to help? I mean, this is about their children as well. I mean, we have to work together on this.
Yeah, we are. We have a lawyer right now. He's been fantastic, but the truth of the matter, that fact is too, he brings up how are we funding this? I don't have those answers. I mean, I'm crowdfunding. I'm doing the best I can. But yeah, we're getting contacted by other lawyers. people who want to assist and help. We actually have one gentleman right now just really working hard behind the scenes. So I just, again, you just kind of believe that opportunities come and the universe is a beautiful thing and it brings some of the best people together in the hardest situations. And I have faith that we'll be brought the best people. That's why we're still here. Each person has played a pivotal role into our success of being here still.
So, do you have any road in with the CFIA to try to reason with them, to try and rationalize with them on this, or are they just point blank, we're going to go after your ostriches?
Point blank, they're coming after the ostriches, and they have been since day one. They came down our road with I think, in my opinion, they came down our road with a positive test already. They don't want us here. They don't want our research here. They don't want any of that opportunity to be part of the solution because a pandemic is way more profitable.
Where are they getting their marching orders from, do you think?
Canadian Food Inspection Agency answers to the Minister of Health, the Federal Minister of Health. That was Kamal Kahir, but I think that she didn't win her riding something there as either, so I don't even know who the Minister of Health is anymore. It was Mark Holland. They do get their marching orders from the President, Paul McKinnon, of Canadian Food Inspection Agency. And then I do know that the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, they look at the World Health Organization, which is the United Nations, and the rabbit hole goes on.
It's corporately funded, the FAO, the WHO. I've been to a Codex meeting. You go to these Codex meetings, and outside where the meetings take place, when you're in the lobby, everybody's handing out their business cards, and they're all, Nestle, Coca-Cola, Cargill, whatever. I mean, it's all the corporations that are there that are in control of the decisions coming from the World Health Organization down.
So
I
yeah.
mean,
So
this
the
is
fight
all
is to
about a
bring
global
that
food
power
system.
back to our people. Yeah, let's bring that power back to our people and our small companies and and our farms. Let's bring some of that power back to the people in Canada that deserve to have the appropriate say in how are the experts in their own industries.
My concern is we need to be healthy as a society and we need to get healthy food in order to be healthy. And unfortunately, if we're going to get prefabricated food coming from who knows where on this planet, how are we going to be healthy? It's going to be impossible. We need to save our farmers in order to save our health. I mean, this is critical, not just for my generation, but for younger generations in particular. How are we going to be healthy if we don't have good food? And recently I looked at a statistic that said fertility rates are plummeting right now. That's how unhealthy we are. Mother Nature
Yeah,
is saying you're too sick to have children. And
yeah,
so by 2040, people here are
yeah.
just not going to be able to conceive. I mean, this is a dire situation. So
It
we
is very
need to preserve our farmers and we need to help your efforts so that we can show strength in numbers that we're not going to take this anymore, that this is getting
yeah,
ridiculous. I've been watching this for years and years and years. So, this exploitation of farmers, innocent farmers, it's got to stop.
yeah.
It's got to stop.
It
And the only way
does,
to
and
do that is
I
the
did.
support, show you support.
Yeah, and I did a research on the factory grown meat, that they're trying to do, and it is blood from an animal grown in these cisterns, but then this meat is so unstable that if any bacteria gets into it, that so that it would ruin, it'll kill everything, so they have to add antibiotics into it. Then this meat is also fast track grown because they add cancer tumor cells tumor cells. So then it rapidly grows. And this is what our children's children are going to be eating if we don't take a stand. So take a stand today with us at Universal Ostrich Farm and
I
let's
agree.
stop it. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree. We need to band together to support you and your efforts. I send you tons of positive thoughts for your
I feel it,
ostriches and hope
Pam.
that they'll be okay.
I appreciate you and all of your love, and any viewers. I thank you for listening. Please support us. Yeah, go to our platforms, and any which way you can support us is it's a blessing.
You are a blessing, and thank you for putting up this fight and trying to rescue the food supply for the sake of all of us.
Yeah, thank
So
you,
thank you.
and
Thank you for all you're doing.
we appreciate you.
Thank you for taking your precious time to listen to today's podcast. Please consider supporting Katie's work by visiting her website, www.saveourostriches.com. And if you would like more information about the health coaching services I provide, please visit my website, which is www.pamkilleen.com. That's Killen. I look forward to seeing you again soon.